the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to round 2 of the League Zero Racing Series Season 8, the Austrian Grand Prix. I'm your host, James Eastspring. The action's 1080p, 60 frames a second. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, we get ready to fire up the premier Super Formula iRacing League. Looks like drivers starting to make their way out onto the grid. And let's go ahead and run through the starting order. On pole, AJ Brenner, your current points leader. Reed Gibson starting second. Jaden Calloway starts third. Raymond Aguilar starting fourth. Ryan Tebow starting fifth. We've got Leo Delmas starting sixth. Peter Rettinger starting seventh. Antonio Bianchi starting eighth. Shazi Zuhair starting ninth. Michael Fairchild starting 10th. Ben Depew starts 11th. Chase Small starting 12th. Cycling it on back to Christian Gritzko starting 13th. Jace Meyer starts 14th. Carl Hartwell starting 15th. Jacob Bramley starts 16th. Devin Hughes starting 17th. Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, starts 18th. Willie Morris starting 19th. David Izzy starting 20th. John Kasai starts 21st. Jay Burton starts 22nd. And Andrew Gallagher will round out the 23-car grid here today. As we get ready for the lights to turn on here at the Red Bull Ring. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate device. If not, they just about always go back and watch this thing over. As here we go, the lights get ready to come on. And we are green flag racing here at the ring. Looks like the start is good from our competitors about the mid-pack. You can see a lot of 3-4 wide action. Oh, and a big moment there. I think that was from possibly AJ Brenner. Yes, who's going to fall way down the standings now into 6th. It's going to be Reed Gibson taking over the race lead, but he's got Jaden Calloway, the 37, keeping the pressure. Calloway takes a peek to the inside line. Gibson pushed wide, way wide off the rumble strip. And Jaden Calloway is going to muscle his way up to the front in that 37 machine. Raymond Aguilar holds on to the top 3. Bianchi and Brenner rounding out the top 5. A relatively clean lap so far as it looks like Brenner has been able to work his way back up into 4th, making his way. There's Antonio Bianchi sitting 5th, but we've got problems at the back. Ryan Tebow finds himself with an obliterated race car, no rear wing. Let's see what happened to Tebow. Is it a solo car incident, the 27? Looks like he just looped it all on his own. And I think Andrew Gallagher might have been tied up with that. Tebow is going to take a tow back to pit road, so he is done and out of this thing. There's Leo Delmas, Christian Gritzko battling for the 6th place spot. Gritzko is up 6 positions gained so far. Delmas in the 21 running exactly where he started, but keep an eye out. Here comes Michael Fairchild in the 88, wanting to get up in the mix as well as Shazi Zuhair, the number 10 machine. But we've got a battle for 3rd going on. AJ Brenner, we know he had the pace, qualified in the pole position, has fought his way back up into 3rd. There is the 2 teammates, Aguilar and Bianchi, 4th and 5th. We got Tevin Proctor joining us here. Cheering on C, I believe that may be Jaden Calloway, the race leader, getting some love from the fans. Fairchild has made his way up into 8th. And it looks like Ray Aguilar is going to fall back into 5th, losing the spot to his teammate Bianchi. Calloway clicks off the oh, he's cheering for Hartwell. Okay. Carl Hartwell, the number 79 machine, was the one getting some love from the fans. He's down 2 spots from where he qualified, about 1.3 seconds back from Willie Morris in the 46 machine. And we've got drivers having to come down pit road. Ben Depew, David Izzy, Peter Rettinger, all coming down pit road for early stops. Involved in some early incidents, having to get that damage repaired. We go back to the battle for 6th. Leo Delmas still trying to fend off Christian Gritzko. And then right behind them is the battle between Fairchild and Zuhair, which has not eased off here. More problems for David Izzy. And I'm trying to see who that else was. Izzy will take a tow back to pit road. He is done and out. As a reminder to the fans, if you take a tow onto pit road during either the feature or heat event, you are unable to rejoin the track. And Jaden Calloway has Reed Gibson. But it's going to be AJ Brenner, the fastest lap of the race, a 112.86. But here's the battle for the lead between Calloway and Gibson. Gibson trying to pull up along the left side of your screen. And it's going to be side by side. Gibson is going to have that preferred position. And Gibson will take over the race lead. Brenner has to check up heavily. Looks like Calloway might have missed the shift there, not able to put the power down. And Gibson's going to very quickly grab a 1.6 second advantage over Calloway and Brenner. Now, it's still very early in the season. The drivers can be a little bit more careful, as we do have a battle for 15th underway. Willie Morris versus Carl Hartwell. Both, I want to say, newcomers here to League Zero, and Hartwell will move up into that 15th place spot. Meanwhile, I think he's going to grab another as Jacob Bramley finds himself on the outside of the track looking in. As Bramwell loses another spot there to Devin Hughes. We're on board with Michael Fairchild as he pulls up alongside Leo Delmas. We got Rita Zen also giving some love to Carl Hartwell, the number 79. We've got Maggie cheering on the broadcaster. Big thumbs up there. Fairchild able to make that pass nice and clean, as Delmas will tuck in behind. Now, this is interesting. The two teammates, Aguilar and Bianchi. Bianchi was able to get the fastest lap of the race tucked in behind his teammate. They're trying to work together here to whittle away at the 1.6 second deficit that they have to AJ Brenner, who's been able to muscle his way back up into third. But having to be mindful of the off tracks. Let's go back to Michael Fairchild. A 3-car pack, 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's Fairchild, Delmas, and Zuhair, who have had some fantastic racing so far this year against each other. So for the drivers forced into an early retirement, Ben Depew, Dave Izzy, Peter Rettinger, Ryan Tebow, all out of this race, back in the virtual garage trying to get their life's piece back together for the sprint race to follow. Andrew Gallagher, the number 9 machine, was a DNS, not able to start. Up front, it's still the Reed Gibson show. But Jaden Calloway has been able to kind of work his way out of a hole. He was 1.5 seconds back after it looked like a misshift or some sort of problem for that number 37 machine that had Brenner checking up heavily in the number 80 machine, sitting third to avoid packing into the rear of Calloway. And the camera a little bit further back, John Kasai up 8 positions in the all-white number 3. He's got Xavier Zanabe, the flying Frenchman, just ahead. It'll be interesting to see if Kasai can maybe work the draft here at the start-finish line, pull himself a little bit higher in the standings. Now, to the fans, it's important to remember the top 12 of this race will be inverted for the sprint race that has half the lap. So a good finishing position, extremely important here. If you can finish 12th in this feature event, that puts you in the top spot on pole position for the sprint. And look at this, Jaden Calloway has closed the gap to within a quarter of a second. Calloway set the fastest lap his last time by. Calloway trying to work up to the back. Julius Ross also cheering on Carl Hartwell in the 79. Hartwell getting a ton of love from the fans here this evening. A newcomer here to League Zero. He's running well. He qualified P15, currently running P15. I believe that is good enough to score his points at the Red Bull Ring. And we've got some green flag stops. Chase Small coming down pit road. Jacob Bramley unfortunately going to take a tow. Let's take a look and see what happened. Bramley, for his race to come screeching to a halt. Oh, gets a little bit loose, goes for a wild ride, and just absolutely drills the guardrail. Ben Depew back out on track, but I think he had a tow. Maybe I'm incorrect on that. No, Depew did not take a tow, so he is eligible to rejoin the track as we're seeing. So good for him to get right back out there. And an update to the fans, Carl Hartwell has made it one position gained and now moved up into P14. And if you're a newcomer here at League Zero or one of the broadcasts, to let you know how competitive this field is, we have current IndyCar Light drivers that frequently race here at League Zero. So the talent is very, very stacked. Now Hartwell, last week at Spa, he brought home an 8th in the sprint race and a 12th in the feature event, so not a bad showing for a new driver. Ernest Smalls also joined the broadcast cheering on Hartwell. Reed Gibson, Jaden Calloway, AJ Brenner, your top 3. They've pulled about a 3-second gap over Bianchi and Aguilar, who make up the rest of the top 5. Oh, but we've got problems reported. Carl Hartwell, who's getting all sorts of love from the fans, has a big moment. That's going to be Devin Hughes, who is able to avoid the incident. Get the replay queued up, see what happened to Hartwell here, sporting the number 79 machine. That incident caused him to fall back to 15th, so not a ton of time lost here, not a lot of positions lost. What happens to Hartwell? Maybe it looks like a little bit too much curbing on the right side. The car gets loose, and next thing you know, he is just along for the ride. Thankfully, Hartwell. Now watch this moment where he gets it spun around. And Devin Hughes wisely checked up. Oh, and we're wheel to wheel as we get back live for the lead. Gibson and Callaway making contact there between the two. AJ Brenner kind of hanging back by about 3/4 of a second. Callaway and Brenner teammates here for the season. Gibson's going to lead the field to the start-finish line. If he can hold on for the next 1/4 of a lap or so. But that's got to be tough with the two teammates right behind. Oh, and you can see Callaway and Brenner dipping a little bit of tires in the dirt. Here comes Callaway to pull up alongside for the race lead. Looks like he's going to do it. Shutting the door, and it looks like Reed Gibson's going to take this opportunity. He says, you know what? I've got two teammates trying to battle. I'm going to come in for the undercut. So that's going to give Jaden Callaway, oh, I don't know who that was. I think it was Callaway at the line, but Brenner quickly taking over the top position. So let's see where Reed Gibson rejoins the track at. He's currently showing P9, one of the first drivers to come down pit road. Xavier Zanave also coming down for his one and only scheduled stop. Now in these Super Formula machines, there is no fueling up during the race. All the drivers have enough fuel to make it till the end, but there is a mandatory tire change. So let's see, Reed Gibson rejoins the track, currently showing 11th place, just ahead of Willie Morris. Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, rolling back out on track. So now the two teammates, really there's two pairs of teammates in the top four. AJ Brenner, Jaden Callaway teammates, first and second. Antonio Bianchi, Ray Aguilar, third and fourth, also teammates. So now that the pit cycles are underway, these teammates are going to try and leapfrog and just put down the fastest lap times they can. That way when they complete their stops, they're going to try and ideally keep Gibson at bay. So a little bit of racecraft and strategy coming into the picture. As the field looks a little bit spread out here. Antonio Bianchi hunting to try and close that 1.5 second gap to the top two drivers, but that's going to be tough as Brenner and Callaway working that draft against each other to keep pulling their way forward. Meanwhile, Bianchi, you can see kind of out there in no man's land. No draft support to be found. And really, only two drivers are within 7/10 of each other. AJ Brenner, Jaden Callaway, and Jace Meyer, John Kasai, 8th and 9th. Other than that, several seconds spread out amongst all these drivers. Now, I would imagine Callaway and Brenner are not going to be fighting too much. Would rather put their heads down, click off some very fast laps. And there is a rule here that you cannot come down pit road for your mandatory tire stop on the last lap. So while Brenner and Callaway are going to try and keep that momentum up, they've got to be mindful of when they come down and take those mandatory tires. And here we go. Looks like John Kasai making a move against Jace Meyer's number 20 machine. Kasai, ooh, a big lock up there from Kasai. Pushes very wide. That's going to give Meyer a chance to fight back here. Meyer, the purple and black number 20. Kasai, the all-white number 3. Kasai holds on to it by about a 10th. And while this battle's going on, Reed Gibson trying to fight through the field. That's Leo Delmas's number 21 machine just ahead of the number 11. We know Gibson has the pace. Got to be mindful not to push too hard too early as he's right up the inside of Delmas. And Gibson will grab that 10th place spot. John Kasai, number 3, opts to come down pit road for his mandatory stop. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Meyer and Gibson. Meyer way off track, trying to hold on to it, having to chase it up the track. I think both drivers are going to be able to get through here without too many problems. I didn't see any damage on either machine. And more problems reported for Carl Hartwell. Parked in a precarious spot. There goes John Kasai, fresh out of pit road. Let's see what happened to Hartwell. Doesn't look like any damage on that number 79. And for the fans, I can't stress how tough it is to handle these Super Formula machines. It looks like just a very simple incident. Loses the back end, careens around. Pulls off track to avoid getting in the way of anybody. But these Super Formula machines can be very unforgiving if you don't get the corner set up just right. And if you've never taken a lap in iRacing, I would strongly encourage anybody to find a friend with a wheel and turn some laps yourself, and it'll show you why this is a simulation and not just a video game. It is very, very tough to hold on to these high horsepower machines. Now, under the fast, wide open throttle sections, drivers aren't going to have too many issues. Oh my goodness, what just happened there? That was Leo Delmas and I believe Willie Morris, a huge incident. Delmas takes a tow. Let's get that replay queued up. So the number 21 looked like he was in the initial incident. And let's try and get a view as well of Willie Delmas. Excuse me, Willie Morris. So here is Delmas losing the back end, almost the identical spot that we saw Hartwell in earlier. And here comes Willie Morris. Oh no, Delmas crosses a hot track, and that ruins the night for both drivers. AJ Brenner, Jaden Calloway remain out front. The two teammates, Bianchi and Fairchild, third and fourth. Now, Ray Aguilar opted to come down pit road on lap 15, not on the same pit strategy as his teammate. That's going to put Gibson, Aguilar, and Gritzko 6th, 7th, 8th, our current fastest drivers after their pit cycle. The top 5 yet to come down pit road and grab new tires. And drivers have to be careful after that stop as well. They go from very warmed up, ready to go tires to cold tires underneath them, so it takes a while to get those tires up to operating temp. You have to be very, very mindful of the throttle and steering inputs until those tires are warmed up. Now, it looks like Callaway has fallen back slightly from his teammate, but Bianchi closing the gap now within a second of the top two drivers. Bianchi definitely on the hunt here. We're waiting to see when the top 5 drivers are going to come down pit road. A very lengthy list of drivers who have been forced into an early retirement. Leo Delmas, Willie Morris, Ben Depew, Jay Burton, Jacob Bramley, David Izzy, Peter Rettinger, Ryan Tebow, all done and out of this one. Now it looks like Callaway is going to come down pit road. His teammate Brenner stays out. Bianchi stays out as well. Looks like Fairchild and Zuhair will also stay out. So that's going to, I believe, whittle it down to 14 drivers still out on track after the 23 entries we had here today. I wonder how long Brenner's going to stay out for. It looks like he's pulling a gap. Still about a 1.5 second lead over Antonio Bianchi in second. Michael Fairchild's moved up into third, but again, the top four at this point have yet to come down pit road. There goes AJ Brenner down pit road. Bianchi's going to stay out and get credit with a lap led in the number 17. Oh, a huge lockup from Bianchi. Way too deep there in the uphill. That is going to cost him some time he cannot afford. Right now, inside the top 5, it is only Bianchi, Fairchild, Zuhair who have yet to box. We got Jeremy Barber, M Chief 99, joining the show, cheering on the broadcast team. It looks like Bianchi's going to stay out even longer, going to stretch the fuel run as long as he can. Maybe looking for a shot of redemption here. Oh, and you can tell that car is dancing all over the place. Shazi Zuhair running third down pit road. Gibson's going to move up into third on the pit stop for Zuhair. Jace Meyer also down pit road. So right now it's Gibson, Brenner, Aguilar. Third, fourth, and fifth, the guys you want to keep an eye out on, knowing that Bianchi and Fairchild have yet to come down pit road. Let's see if we can get this to work up. There we go. On the left side of your screen, showing who has come down pit road, who has not. Not many drivers inside the top 10 who have yet to box. And Bianchi does have an 11.4 second gap, 11.3 or so over Fairchild. So maybe he's just looking for clean track, trying to keep his nose out of danger. I believe that is Xavier Zanave, Jaden Calloway ahead. I think Calloway got a speeding penalty on pit road, the number 37 machine. He was running so extremely quick with his teammate Brenner, but was in his pit stall for 47.4 seconds. That is an entire 40 seconds longer than anybody else who has pitted. Normally a tire stop is between 6.8 and 8 seconds, depending on how well you hit your pit stall. So Jaden Calloway just having a rough go with pit road violations. Reed Gibson, last time by, the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 12 second .09. So he's feeling mighty good at this point. I'm wondering if he can dip into the 1 minute 11 seconds by the time this is all said and done. The car will get lighter throughout this race as they burn off fuel. Again, there's no fuel stops here Everybody has enough to make it till the end. So with that and the push to pass enabled, the magic button on these drivers' wheel, they get 200 seconds available to them of total use time throughout the race. I would not be surprised to see Gibson dip into those 111s by the time it's all said and done. Looks like 12 drivers on the lead lap as it stands. Zanave in the hot seat, the flying Frenchman, the number 12. If he can hold on to that 12th place spot, he will start on pole for the sprint. And man, Bianchi stretching this run out as long as he can. He can see Zanave not too far ahead. On board your race leader, Antonio Bianchi, up 7 spots, but has yet to box. The only drivers inside the top 10 who have yet to pit: Antonio Bianchi, Michael Fairchild first and second, and Devin Hughes, who sits in 8th in the number 60. Now, I think if Bianchi is suspect of lap traffic slowing him down, I would not be surprised for him to come down pit road for that stop on this lap. Just searching for clean track. It's going to really depend on what Zanave does here. Zanave, a very, very experienced driver here at League Zero, so he'll see the blue flag and hear the radio call out from his crew, letting him know that the class leader, the overall leader, is quickly approaching. And man, this onboard on the Halo shows you just how quick Zanave is flicking that race car around. He does stay out for another lap. And last time by, Bianchi a 1 minute 12.31. Let's see what that is compared to Fairchild in second, who did a 112.96. So Bianchi pulling away from second place. And running about this, oh no, I take it back. Reed Gibson dips into the 111s, a 111.89. The number 11 machine is on fire here. So Bianchi surely knows that he's losing almost 5/10 a lap to Gibson back in third, and Gibson knows that the top 2 drivers still need to come down pit road for those tires. So Gibson absolutely feeling fantastic here. I mean, if he keeps this pace up, I think he would catch up to Fairchild just on pace alone, but it looked like we just saw Jaden Calloway has made a move on Chase Small. Xavier Zanave making a move on Devin Hughes, the number 60, so Hughes now in that final spot of the inverted grid. And look at that, AJ Brenner answers with the fastest lap, now belonging to the number 80, a 111.83. 0.06 of a second faster than Gibson's fastest lap. Brenner, who's about 3.3 seconds back from that number 11 machine, was about 4/10 slower in his pit stop. And when these drivers are chasing hundreds of a second, a 4/10 deficit coming out of pit road can absolutely add up by the time this is all said and done. We've only got 7 laps left to go. And Bianchi continues to stay out. You can see he's made his way around Xavier Zanave, putting the flying Frenchman down a lap as he sits in 11th. Oh, that was Devin Hughes, I think. Smashing the curbing. Gibson crosses the line on 112.28. Brenner on 112.13. So Brenner is still closing that gap. Now 3 seconds flat behind number 11. I think by the time Bianchi and Fairchild have to come down pit road, that could be the future battle for the lead, as they're currently 3rd and 4th out on track. Bianchi is about 20 seconds, 19.7 up over Reed Gibson. I don't know where that's going to put him after the pit cycle is done here. You can see on the track map on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, Bianchi is catching up to 10th and 9th place. That's Chase Small running 10th. Jaden Calloway running 9th after his pit road violation. I'm interested to see the strategy, the reasoning why Bianchi is staying out so long. I would have thought he would be looking for some fresher tires by this point. That way they had more time to get up to temp and he can get right back to putting in work. But Reed Gibson's not gaining too much time in 3rd. Now still about 19.6 seconds back. Gibson was about 3/10 faster his last lap than the race leader Bianchi. And Bianchi staying out once again. As a reminder, you cannot grab your tires on the white flag. So Bianchi only has realistically about 3 more laps, tops, before he has to come down pit road or face disqualification. It looks like Bianchi gaining over a second on Michael Fairchild in 2nd and losing about a tenth and a half to Reed Gibson. And there's more lap traffic ahead for Bianchi. I believe that's going to be Chase Small, the number 5 machine. Our former race control here at League Zero, now back behind the wheel. Race control tonight, of course, served by the world-renowned Joseph Penn, providing some of the best iRacing race control services on the service. Bianchi makes his way around Small. Well done to Small and a big thumbs up. Quickly hopping out of the way for the race leader. And oh boy, Antonio Bianchi stretching it out even longer here. I'm hoping Bianchi gets up into the top 3 just so I can have the podium opportunity, the podium presentation, to ask him about the strategy call. He lost about a half second, about 4/10 to Gibson. Still holds a 19-second gap over that 3rd place driver who's already taken his tires. Michael Fairchild in 2nd also needs to box before the completion of this race. So Alex Penn in the spectator area, he's got tons of experience in iRacing. He thinks the reasoning is Antonio trying to avoid running on cold tires as much as possible. Which I guess makes sense, but I would imagine you would want the time to get it back up to temp, but I guess Bianchi trying to do a control of that so that way he's on the cold tires to the minimum amount. I can see the reasoning here. I just don't know if it's going to be enough with Reed Gibson. Now 18 and a half seconds back. Michael Fairchild down pit road for his one and only stop. So we believe Bianchi has to come down pit road next time by. And you can tell he's abusing those tires. A big lockup on the front of that number 17 machine. That off-camber, uphill, blind right-hander. That's going to put Bianchi, Gibson, Brenner, your top three. Aguilar in fourth. Looks like it's going to be Christian Gritzko now taking over the fifth place spot from Michael Fairchild. And the only driver out on track who has yet to box for tires is Antonio Bianchi. Is the long overcut going to be beneficial compared to Reed Gibson in second, who went for the undercut on lap 10 for his tire swap? And there we go, Antonio Bianchi down pit road for the one and only time. Flying in there, getting it slowed down. How's this going to shape up? Where is he going to be compared to Reed Gibson? Bianchi currently up 7 spots. How's this going to shape up? Bianchi out of his pit stall, 6 point, looks like 8 seconds, but there goes Reed Gibson. Bianchi rolls out on track and looks to be second, but here comes AJ Brenner. Reed Gibson's going to have a very healthy lead, 5.3 seconds up over Bianchi, who's about to have his hands full rolling out with cold tires in a very hungry, very aggressive number 80 of AJ Brenner. The fans right now thinking Bianchi would be safe to say he's going to get a top 3. How hard is he going to fight against Brenner here? Now, Bianchi, I believe, still has push to pass available. Brenner has used his up, as well as Reed Gibson. So I think Antonio Bianchi is going to be pressing the magic button and holding it wide here to try and build up a gap, if possible, against Brenner. They make their way out on the start-finish line. Reed Gibson, with the white flag being proudly displayed, puts the fastest lap of the race, 11.69. Bianchi looked like he was going to hold on to second, but loses it. AJ Brenner swipes forward, takes over second. Brenner's going to set himself up defensively here. Bianchi is going to back up and try and get a better drive out of the corner. Let's see, is the push to pass going to come into effect? Is Bianchi going to try and stay glued to Brenner's rear wing and make something happen here at the end? He's still within striking distance, about 4/10 off the back of Brenner. But Brenner seems to just be glued a little bit better and is pulling away from Bianchi. Bianchi might have to settle for third here. But let's take a look. Here comes Reed Gibson for the final time at the feature event, picking up a massive win here, an 8-second advantage. And it's going to be AJ Brenner getting second. And Antonio Bianchi will round out the top 3. Not quite the celebration, a podium celebration or a victory burnouts we were looking for. We're going to get these top 3 up here into victory lane. We'll have a brief ceremony, and then we'll get the drivers right back out on track for the final sprint race of the evening with an inverted top 12, half the laps, and twice the action. We're going to go ahead and get things started. The Italian Stallion, the number 17 machine, Antonio Bianchi, bringing home the 3rd place. Now, Antonio, walk us through that race. Walk us through your strategy as far as when you were going to come down pit road.
Yeah, no, that one was a lot of fun. I thought running long would be the ideal strategy. It definitely is. Like the tires seem fast. I think Reed just had a faster pace than everyone, which is why he's able to just gap us by so much. But I thought running towards the end would be probably the ideal strategy because I was running basically matching my best lap times right towards the end of the stint. Problem is, I knew when I came out by the gap I had to AJ that I was going to be racing him, and I was like, I got no tires. I probably could have defended a little harder, but I was just concerned that I didn't want to take him out or something stupid and ruin a good finish. So yeah, no, that was pretty much my thoughts throughout that part.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well for you. I mean, a strong third. You had your teammate Aguilar not too far behind, so a good points night for you and your team, and a clean car going into the sprint race.
Yeah, no, it was good. Definitely a change up from last week. I don't think I made it more than 2 laps last race combined through the feature and the sprint. So yeah, definitely a nice change up. Good result. Finally paid off. I did some practice throughout the week, so it was good.
Awesome. Good to see you back up here. Hopefully we'll have you again for the sprint. And who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this third place possible for you?
You know what? Honestly, shout out to my boy Levi who made the paint for us as always, and then you know what? Everyone else just shout out for a clean race, and then as usual, always my teammate Ray, guy's a champ. So love that man. Chase for getting out my way too, appreciate it. But and you James, love you.
Love you too, buddy. Thank you as always.
Yeah, no worries, man. See ya.
That was Antonio Bianchi bringing it home in third. Up next, we're going to get the number 80 machine, AJ Brenner, a fellow motorcycle guy. Welcome to the top three, and what a great race.
Yeah, it was an awesome race. Didn't really expect Reed to undercut us that bad. Kind of caught us by surprise there, and I just couldn't catch up to him.
Now, AJ, as a newcomer, you come into the league, your current points leader coming into tonight here at Red Bull Ring, and then find yourself once again battling for for second in the final laps of the feature. What was running through your head those last few laps when Antonio got back out on track?
You know, I was hoping it wasn't a Reed situation where he's just going to fly away from me, but it seemed like Antonio's tires were just too cold coming out, so ended up being not too bad, but you know, I was just making sure I didn't mess it up because I almost messed it up on lap 1 of the race, so try not to do that.
Well,
but it was fun.
Glad you didn't. It's good to have you back up here. And AJ, I'm trying to think if I remember right, you did all around well at Spa, a second in the feature, a fourth in the sprint. So now this is your second sprint race here at the series. What's the strategy? What's the game plan to maximize points leaving here in Austria?
You know, just staying alive, turn 1 and 2, and then just kind of use the pace we already have and just keep catching up and see what we can do.
Awesome. AJ, always a pleasure. Best of luck in the sprint. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped you get up here in second place tonight?
I'm going to give a shout out to my fiance Faith and my dog Bea.
Well said. AJ, congratulations. We'll have you back up here soon.
Appreciate it, James.
That was AJ Brenner, the number 80 machine, bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Reed Gibson. Welcome back, my friend. And what a dominant performance here in the Red Bull Ring.
Ring-a-ding-ding. That's a win, man. Feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 strong back-to-backs. I mean, Spa was a great start to the season, a third and a fourth, getting some good points. But first win of the season, you had a lot of clean track. And for Red Bull Ring, it looked pretty open. But what's it like going from the Formula 3 machines to the Super Formula machines at a track you have so many laps on already?
You know, the car drives completely differently than the F3. You can't really just lean on it quite as hard in the low traction zones. So you really got to kind of detune your brain or retune your brain a little bit to be gentle in the slow corners, but then to just be, you know, hammering out in the fast corners. And it took me, you know, a full race weekend of discipline to kind of really get used to the difference in the driving style.
Now, and this has got to be tough, but that's got a fair mix of both. I mean, the uphill, almost off-camber right-handers, you're hard on the brakes. And at Spa, we didn't see too many lockups from any of the drivers, but tonight we're seeing a lot as drivers come to those slow-speed corners, lean on the brakes, and having big lockups throughout the event.
Yeah, I think it was difficult because it's just this nice long straight line braking, and you're trying to maximize, you know, this basically, you know, drag strip of a course. You got to push it. I had a couple times going into turn 3 where I was like, I think I can push it a little deeper, and I couldn't. So, you know, my strategy was once you know, Jade and AJ started, you know, ganging up on me, I figured I'm just gonna go get my own clean air, let them do whatever they want to do, and I'm just gonna try and run consistent laps. And I did a good enough job to come out in front.
Yeah, clicking off laps, making it look easy. Reed, always a pleasure having you up here, my friend. Before I let you go get ready for this sprint race, who do you want to give a quick shout-out to that helped make this win possible for you and the team?
Just shout out to the Scuderia Chicken House for help coaching me in the background. None of them are driving this season, but I'm carrying the flag on in their honor.
Well, we're glad to have you, Reed. Best of luck in the sprint, and good job on the first here in the feature.
Thank you so much. See you soon, hopefully.
That was Reed Gibson bringing it home the top spot. As he said, hopefully the sprint race can have great nights and sometimes not so great nights. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 3-4 minutes for the final sprint race of the night, where we've got half the laps, twice the action here at League Zero. All right, race fans, we are back for the final time here tonight at the Red Bull Ring. It's an inverted top 12 grid. Xavier Zanave starting first, Devin Hughes starts second, Chase Small starting third, Jaden Calloway starting fourth, John Kasai starting fifth, Shazi Zuhair starting sixth, Michael Fairchild starts seventh, Christian Gritzko starting eighth, Ray Aguilar starting ninth, Antonio Bianchi starting 10th, AJ Brenner starting 11th, and Reed Gibson will be starting 12th, finishing off that inverted top 12. And here we go. And already some drivers having a botched start as we look at 4 wide going into turn 1. Xavier Zanave is going to get a great start and throw it away. And the field is going to stack it up here. I would imagine the safety car is going to be deployed as, oh my goodness, the absolute carnage. Yes, the safety car is going to get deployed. Oh, this is going to be on the highlight reel, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this thing started. Let's start with Reed Gibson, and we'll slow it down when we get to turn 1. So let's look here. As what happened there? Did Reed Gibson absolutely launch? I don't think Gibson was expecting that big of a slow up. And look, Gibson absolutely launches it here. Up and over. And while that's going on, there's another crash. There's Xavier Zanave. And I believe he gets tagged by Chase Small. John Kasai is going to get tied up with his teammate. He gets pitched out onto the track. And then the field just going to keep proudly marching in as car parts scattered everywhere. I mean, the field's not done crashing yet, which is very impressive. So Chase Small somehow, oh wait, no, let's back that up because that's going to be spectacular. There we go. So Chase Small with no wheels underneath them, wheels back into a hot track. Drivers try and take avoidance. And no luck there. I'm trying to see who that is. If that was maybe Delmas? No, it's not Leo Delmas. David Izzy is who that was. So I've got a replay queued up for you. Enjoy the onboard, the number 29 machine. I mean, already from the start, you know things were going to go poorly. See, there's Reed Gibson getting launched into orbit. And poor Izzy, just no luck, but bad luck. And we had another crash report. This time it was Ryan Tebow. Not sure what that was, but we will be under eye-pacing conditions. And it is a mighty short field here, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like Michael Fairchild was able to roll onto pit road under his own power. But let's give you the list of drivers who are having a terrible evening. Xavier Zanave, Chase Small, John Kasai, Reed Gibson, Leo Delmas, David Izzy, all having to go home early. Now, it looks like Peter Rettinger, Andrew Gallagher, Willie Morris, and Jacob Bramley were all did not start for this one. So I believe that's going to leave 12 drivers out on track. So we'll do one more lap of pacing here. And look at this, Carl Hartwell now up in 7th in the number 79 machine out of attrition. AJ Brenner has come down pit road to get some repairs done, get the machine looked at, maybe dust off the tires. If there was any debris picked up after that spectacular turn 1, lap 1 sprint race crash. The race control is going to be mighty busy following the sprint race here at Red Bull Ring. As hey, I told the fans we're going to put on quite a show. Half the laps, twice the action, only a 16-lap sprint. It's going to be about... Yeah, they're going to refire this thing on lap 4. The race control definitely have to put in the work tonight as the pace car comes down pit road. Jaden Calloway is going to start this thing off. And he is waiting. There we go. We are green flag racing. Now something has happened. Carl Hartwell had to come down pit road for service. Not sure what happened to the fan favorite, that number 79 machine. If things calm down, which they probably won't, we'll try and get a replay queued up. But there's Christian Gritzko, the 91, trying to make an outside pass for the leads. Got to be careful. If Callaway had any sort of mistake there, he would drift wide into that 91. Callaway takes back over the race lead. And I don't know who's got a good shot at this. I mean, we've whittled it down to 10 drivers out on track. Odds-on favorites such as AJ Brenner, who set pole, he's way back in 7th. And only 12 laps to make it happen. Oh, a big bobble there from Devin Hughes. That's going to allow Shazi Zuhair to work around the outside line. And we got a report Carl Hartwell did take a tow to pit road under the caution behind our safety car, so he is not going to be rejoining. Let's see if we can get a quick replay queued up of that. I want to see what happened to the fan favorite, Carl Hartwell. That pan away at a very inopportune time. Oh my goodness! What happened to Hartwell? Who was that? Was that Michael? No, it wasn't Michael Fairchild. Was that Jace Meyer? We'll have to review that again here in a little bit as we've got more problems with Christian Gritzko. The replay machine is going to get fired up heavily, and that's going to take out a few drivers. Ray Aguilar, Christian Gritzko, Saji Zuhair, all down pit road. What is in the water here in Austria? It's going to be 6 drivers left at the end of this. We're focusing in on Christian Gritzko. Loses the back end. Ray Aguilar comes to a stop and shot. Oh my goodness. Shaji Zuhair, Devin Hughes just come barreling in there. Total disregard for machinery, and man, Callaway, I don't want to say he's going to get gifted a race, but right now it's his to lose. He's got a 5-second gap over Antonio Bianchi. There's only 6 drivers left out on track here. I am at a loss for words, which does not happen often. Let's go a little bit further back. AJ Brenner making up 1/6 of the field here in the sprint race, has caught up to the tail end of Antonio Bianchi. We know Bianchi has good pace, but Brenner was tough to touch in qualifying. And he's going to try with everything he has. Bianchi is holding the push to pass down to keep Brenner at bay. Brenner a little bit loose there out of turn 1. He's 4/10 back from Bianchi. So at this point, it is much quicker to mention these 6 drivers out on track. You can see the grayed out names on the left-hand side of your screen, drivers that had to retire early. On track is Callaway, Bianchi, Brenner, Tebow, Depew, and Burton. I have no idea what it's going to do for the points, but it's going to be pretty spectacular by the time it's all said and done. I have called a lot of races here at League Zero. I would dare say we've got to be into the hundreds by this point. And I've never seen a race with such terrible attrition. Callaway clicks off a 113.32. Let's see what Bianchi registers as a 113.42. Brenner, 200ths of a second faster. And working that push to pass to try and get around Bianchi. Here we go, the battle for second. Brenner working the inside line. Bianchi a bit of a lockup there, trying to get on the binders. Now Bianchi sitting in third. He's 1.6 seconds up over Ryan Tebow. 6/10 behind AJ Brenner. We're checking in on Jaden Callaway. Clicking off fast laps, making it look easy. A 112.98. Another fast lap of the race. Six drivers out on track. 5 laps left to go. 7 laps left to go. Apparently I'm falling apart in the booth here as well. In what has been the most violent League Zero race in history. Now, if there's going to be a battle out on track, and that's a big if at this point, with 6 drivers turning and circulating, it's going to be between AJ Brenner and Antonio Bianchi in the battle for second. Got our friends 007 Mech joining us, just checking in live since not able to, or now out of the car. You missed tragedy, calamity, and every sad word I can think of. We had a huge turn 1, lap 1 pile up. We had wrecks under caution. It's just been an absolute bloodbath. On the restart, we lost 4 more drivers. At this point, I don't want to drive home from the broadcast booth in fear that I too will be involved in some sort of incident. Your 6 drivers out on track: Callaway, Brenner, Bianchi, Tebow, Depew, and Burton. who will make it home from the Red Bull Ring in one piece. Drivers spending a lot of virtual currency here tonight. And I'm curious to see, does Bianchi have anything in the tank? We go on board that number 17 machine, 6/10 back. He's got push to pass available, but so does Brenner. Bianchi closing the gap now within about a half second as they get ready to make their way out onto the start-finish line straight. Bianchi trying to hammer down the throttle. Doesn't look like either driver using the push to pass here. No, I take that back. Brenner is on the button. Antonio Bianchi still has some left. Oh, Bianchi right on the back. Now, we've seen Bianchi have problems with micro lockups in that exact corner. And it looks like it's going to happen again. Brenner pulls the gap to his second advantage. Bianchi has to be careful. Ryan Tebow in the number 27, up 18 spots. He's closing the gap ever so slowly, ever so slightly. 5 laps left to go. Tebow just needs a little bit of a bobble from the Italian stallion, Antonio Bianchi, and he can find himself in podium contention. Good to see Flo Doms join us in the spectator area as well. We got a lot of familiar names and faces tuning in to figure out what on earth is going on here in Austria. Bianchi losing a little bit of time here. He's on the push to pass, but Brenner has pulled a 1 second advantage. Looks like Bianchi was able to pull a little bit more of a gap up over Tebow, gaining about 3 to 4 tenths here, trying to close the gap to Brenner. But let's see what happens here in turn 3. That has absolutely been Bianchi's nemesis, and I think he misses a shift, trying to roll back on the throttle. Here comes Ryan Tebow in the number 27. Wants to get that podium spot. Let's see, Tebow still in the hunt here. A few laps, but so it seems like Bianchi's Achilles heel is definitely turn 3. That is where Tebow makes up all his ground as Bianchi. I mean, that was a huge bobble out of the number 17 machine. If Tebow can get within striking distance, I think he still has a shot at a podium here. Jaden Calloway out there in no man's land. 8.3 seconds ahead of second place runner AJ Brenner. Brenner 1.3 up over Bianchi. Looks like Bianchi might have gotten that corner dialed in a little bit there. Much, much smoother. And look at that, already closing the gap within a second of Brenner. So Bianchi just got to focus on hitting his marks here. But Bianchi now within 7 tenths. We still have a fight left in these drivers. Jaden Calloway not feeling any pressure. Sets the fastest lap of the race once more. A 1 minute 12.79. AJ Brenner a 1:14, so he had a bit of a slower lap. Bianchi gained 6 tenths on that one. And it looks like Bianchi may be within a half second. It's going to be about 6 tenths between the second and third place driver. Bianchi's pulled about a 1.4 second gap over Ryan Tebow. Brenner is out of push to pass. Bianchi has a little bit left. He might have waited too long in the feature event, so I would imagine he's going to learn from that and maybe wait for the right moment. Within a half second of Brenner in the battle for second. So right now, all eyes on the second and third place driver, Brenner and Bianchi, as Callaway has made it almost a 10-second advantage over the rest of the field. Bianchi in the hunt here. White flag will be out next time by for Jaden Callaway. And I think Bianchi, yes, still has a little bit of push to pass left. And these drivers only allotted 200 seconds of the magic button. Well done to Bianchi. It took him a few laps to get it dialed in, but he's finally nailing turn 3 here. You heard Reed Gibson after the feature event kind of talking about that specific corner, just saying there's only so hard you can push there. Then you have to back it off before you're just kind of having negative returns. So Bianchi definitely picked up on that. But will it be enough? He's staying within a half second of Brenner. White flag is out for Jaden Callaway. He's in a different zip code. As we're on board, Antonio Bianchi losing some time there in the final two corners. He's 8/10 back. He's on the magic button trying to close the gap. Has to be careful not to overdrive the car here into 3, but he's made it within a half second. And I believe Bianchi may have depleted. If he's going to make something happen, it's got to be this lap. He's breathing down the neck of AJ Brenner, but a bit of a bobble there from Bianchi. Tries to put the power down too early. Brenner surely feeling the pressure here in second. Brenner's been very consistent so far this season. I mean, this is almost an identical playback. As let's go up front. Jaden Callaway picks home the win here at the Red Bull Ring Sprint Race. And it's going to be AJ Brenner getting second, and Antonio Bianchi will have to settle for third. An interesting celebratory sign-off from AJ Brenner, Jaden Callaway. As we're going to try and get these drivers up here in the waiting room. Looks like we've got Callaway. We've got Bianchi still waiting on AJ Brenner. Looks like we've got everybody here, so we're going to start things off with the Italian stallion, Antonio Bianchi. Antonio, what a fantastic point night Red Bull has been to you.
I know. I like this place. I've always liked it, so I'm glad it's finally been good to me because I haven't had much luck in the past here. But yeah, that was interesting for sure.
That was a race. I think we can still call that a race. I mean, there were 6 of you guys at the end, so you had to feel pretty comfortable about points once the safety car had deployed and the rest of the field aggressively worked themselves out.
Yeah, I was giving off 2005 Indianapolis vibes for sure, but Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I had good pace. I ended up picking up damage when Ray had his wreck there. I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast at all,
Oh,
but I was
yes.
actually driving with the wheel at 1 o'clock, and just as I'd get to like the edge in the fast corners, it would like give me that little wiggle enough that it was gonna kill me. So I had to stop. And then I was at 17x on the final lap out of 18 before I got the drive through.
Oh,
So
boy.
I had to give in a little bit, but it was fun, man. That was awesome. AJ gave me a good run for my money there. That was fun.
Now, how happy were you on turn 1, lap 1 to be hugging that inside line? Because I don't know if you noticed, but Reed Gibson completely in the air next to your left side at one point.
I did see him jumping over the car beside. I didn't think that was ideal for sure, but yeah, no, it was definitely interesting to watch. I'm not gonna lie. And then finishing the race with there's 6 of us, so I mean, not a good look, unfortunately, as a league owner. It's not something you really want to see, but our sprint races have always been chaotic. It's a new car. It takes a lot of skill to drive these cars. Not that I'm saying that guys that wreck don't have the skill, but I just mean it's really easy to make a mistake, especially when you're new to the car. So it's totally understandable. But
Well, seemed like
yeah, we'll see
things
how it
all in
goes.
all, yeah, things all in all went well for you. The other 20 some odd drivers, maybe not so much, but got to be happy with the great result for at least your car. And Tiernan, before I let you sign off, celebrate, and get to the mountain of paperwork you'll have following Red Bull Ring, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this third possible and back-to-back podiums possible?
Well, as always, shout out to my my man Ray. He's always there helping me out. It's always a fun time racing with him. As well as Chase and Dave. We're always hanging out in there. Joe for Joe for doing the race control. Wow, I'm watching this pretty bad. And you as always for broadcasting the 2005 Indy F1 race. So hopefully we stood the test of time, and sometime we'll look back at this in the future and be like, wow, that race sucked.
And Tony, before I let you go, I do want to congratulate you as well. It took a few laps, but seeing you progress through turn 3 and get that dialed in was really cool for me as a broadcaster as well. So I want to make sure you got your credit where it's due.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it was a fun time.
Awesome. We'll have you back up here next week, my friend.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
Yes, sir. That was Antonio Bianchi bringing it home in third. Up next, also making it back-to-back podiums, AJ Brenner, the number 80 machine. AJ, what a race.
Man, that was an experience. I thought my race was over at the start when Reed came through, so I'm glad I got back into the pits and back out there.
Yeah, I mean, there was really no good place for you to be at. I mean, there was carnage on the inside, the middle of the track. There was carnage on the outside. There was drivers drifting across the track. What do you do in that situation where it seems like just everything is going terribly wrong for everyone?
Hang on and pray, and just hope it's not you.
So a little bit of the when in doubt, throttle out approach here at Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, usually works.
And it seemed like your start was pretty solid in that number 80 machine, able to quickly gain 2 or 3 spots before we saw what we're going to now call the incident. But what's it been like getting adapted to this super formula on a standing start?
I've had a lot of trouble with it, so I'll give a little shout out to Fabian. He's kind of helped me work through it and find a method that'll actually make it where I don't spin out every time. So it's gotten better. It's definitely challenging. Getting that little bite and then getting up the gears without throwing yourself is a challenge. But once you get it right, it's fun.
And AJ, so correct me if I'm wrong here. That was your car that got jumped, correct?
Correct. I had Reed on my head, just kind of sitting there. So I assumed it was over, but it was just the rear wing. So went in the pits, got it changed out, and got to the back of the field and worked my way through.
What a spectacular replay that was. So glad you're able to somehow salvage a race. I mean, the iRacing gods were extremely kind to you today, so very cool to see. And I guess, AJ, I mean, back-to-back podiums, a good points night. I believe you can be extending that points lead. I know it's a bit of a roller coaster, but you can't really ask for more.
It's my first league I've ever done, so this is going really well. Just gonna try to keep up the consistency. Me and Jaden did a lot of practice this week to get ready, so we'll just continue doing that and trying to keep getting some points.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure having you up here. Good to see newcomers coming out with so much talent and ability and putting on a great show. And AJ, for the final time this evening, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make these back-to-back podiums possible for you?
I'm just gonna give a shout out to my team, Jaden, Fabian, and Felipe here. All those guys are awesome. Do a lot to help in the background, so yep, shout out to them.
Awesome. AJ, always a pleasure, my friend, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Absolutely, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in second. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend. Welcome back to the top spot, Jaden Calloway, sneaking through all sorts of carnage and able to bring home and capitalize here tonight after a feature event that you may not want to remember.
Yeah, the feature was going good up until I made a mistake entering the pits, and it ended up costing me a podium, but the sprint made up for it.
Yeah, I mean, so was that all it was? You came into pit road a little bit hot and then found yourself in big trouble?
Yeah, I just went wide on entry and ended up getting a penalty.
You hate to see it, man, but maybe, I mean, all things considered, I mean, the sprint race went in your favor. You were able to start strong, quickly get through the carnage. I mean, I believe you were tucked into driver's right in turn one where we saw what we're calling the incident unfold.
Yeah, I think my big strength so far this season has been my starts. Usually I make up a couple positions before we even get to turn one, so ultimately that's helped a lot.
Yeah, it seems like it worked well. It's going to be very interesting to see how the points shake down. I mean, you were second in points coming into tonight. I know Brenner had good points as well, but I know it's very early in the season, but you have to be happy with the consistency you've had so far.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good sign for the future. We've only done 2 races so far, and we've doing really good, so we'll just have to keep it up.
Jaden, it's been super, super cool seeing you come out running so well. I mean, so many new faces and then maybe older faces that are progressively getting faster. So very cool for me to see as a broadcaster as well as for the fans at home. And speaking of the fans at home, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the evening. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this win possible for you?
As always, my friends supporting me, my teammate AJ, and my team, Squid Gang Racing.
Jaden, always a pleasure, my friend. Good to have you back in the top spot, and hope to have you back up here next week as well.
Thank you.
That was Jaden Calloway bringing it home in the top spot of the sprint. He was accompanied by AJ Brenner and Antonio Bianchi ran out the podium, as well as 3 other drivers that were able to survive lap 1. On behalf of LeagueZero.net, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Thursday evening with us. It was an absolute wild ride. I'm sure we're going to see the views spike right after this because it was absolute carnage out there. Thank you all, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.